Hello students, welcome back. Today we are going to discuss the next topic of our research series, that is questionnaire development. This is Dr. Ram Singh. Let's move ahead. So when we talk about questionnaire, what is questionnaire? So questionnaire is a structured technique of data collection that consists of a series of questions that the respondents answer. Right? It is one of the technique of collecting the data. Right? And one thing that you must keep in your mind while designing the questionnaire, that you should be very much clear about the objective of your research. Right? I suggest that when you prepare your questionnaire, write down the objectives on a paper, your research objectives on the paper, and keep it in front of you while designing the questionnaire. Because your question should be in the light of the objective, then it will lead to the information that fulfill the objectives of your research. It will lead to the information that is required for your research. Right? If you mislead from your objectives, then of course it will result in inaccurate data collection. It will result in the wrong formulation of your questionnaire. So it must be very much clear that what are your objectives of research, right? Then when we design the questionnaire, we should make all the attempt that questionnaire should have the ability to uplift and motivate the respondents. It should have the ability to uplift and motivate the respondent to answer, right? It should have the ability to retain the respondents to fill up your questionnaire with interest, right? So questionnaire in layman language, what we can say, it is a set of questions asked to the target respondents. It can be both open and close-ended questions, right? For example, when we talk about open-ended questions, so in open-ended question we, most of the time when we conduct qualitative research, we give the open-ended question where we put the question like, what are the various suggestions you will suggest for the product, right? Or you can ask, what is your opinion about the product? Define your opinion about the products in few words. So this kind of question results in the more insight about the products, about the satisfaction level of the customer for the product, right? And another set of questions may be your close-ended question, where we give the choice that I prefer to buy product X over Y. I've just given them the statement, and then the option will be strongly disagree, neutral, agree, and strongly agree. So here what happens is the example of close-ended question where we have given the choice to the respondent to opt from these choices only. Then another set can be dichotomous questions, right, where we provide with only two options. You can say that you will go for this product or not. So there will be the two options only, yes or no, right? So when we give only two options, it is known as dichotomous question. And when we give the limited number of choices to the respondent to opt for, it is known as your close-ended questions, right? For example, multiple choice questions are close-ended questions. And when we give the freedom to the respondent to give their answer, whatever in their mind, to write down their answer, these are open-ended questions. Now, when we design the questionnaire, the various skills can be used. In previous lecture, I have already discussed in detail about the measurement skills that can be nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio scale. So just have the review of these scales. We have discussed all these scales in detail in previous lectures, so you can refer that lecture also. So types of scale, first is nominal, which is used for just labeling the objects, right? Then ordinal, which indicates only ordering of the objects. Then interval, use descriptor that are equal distances apart. We have already discussed that measuring temperature in Celsius, right? And ratio have a 0 point. So we have discussed all these scales in detail in previous lecture. So you can go over there. And if you have not yet subscribed my channel, please subscribe my channel so that you can get latest updates about the videos. Now, when we design the questionnaire, first of all, the first question that we put in our questionnaire is about the demography, right? First of all, we just want to know about the demographic profile of the respondents. So basically, it consists of the images, various images like race, ethnicity, their age, their socioeconomic status, their occupation, their income, right? So these are known as demographic variable. Demographic variable means which define the demography of the respondents. Then another section is consist of the various questions related to the preferences and attitude, right? It may be individual preferences for certain things and the attitude for the certain objects. For example, attitude towards smoking and drinking, you can measure, or eating of certain types of food, what kind of attitude they are having for fast food, junk food, right? Then attitude for goods or services of the company, yes, we can measure their attitude, their satisfaction level for the goods or services of the companies, or we can measure the when we talk about employees, so we can measure the employees satisfaction, job satisfaction for the particular organization, what the employees feel for their organization. So questionnaire is widely used in collecting data related to the various aspects, right? Now coming on the steps in developing questionnaire, so the very first most important step is specify the information needed. What I have just discussed, that you must be very much clear about the objectives of your questionnaire, right? Objective of your research, that why you are formulating this question, what kind of information you sought from this questions, right? So of course questionnaire should assure that the information recorded must have all components of the problem in hand. It must be designed in the light of the objective of your research. It must cover all the aspects or all the components of the problem that is in your hand, right? So that we can have the proper information, so that we can make the proper analysis, or so that we can give the proper findings. So it must be designed under the light of our research objectives, right? Whatever the research objectives we have, we should design our questionnaire in the light of that only, right? So first step is your specify the information needed, specify your objectives, specify the information that you want to collect. Then another is decide upon the type of interview method, that how you are going to conduct your survey or how you are going to conduct your interview. It may be through mail, it may be through in the form of electronic questions like Google form, or it can be filled up by the help of telephonic questionnaire. So of course what I have discussed earlier, that nowadays it is one of the trend to fill up your questionnaire face to face, so that respondent will know about each and every aspects, and you can make them clear about each and every questions in your questionnaire. So it will be more meaningful result, it will provide us more meaningful result, right? So this mode will be more preferable if you want the reality or if you want the real result, because you explain each and every question to the respondents and he will respond, so that you will know that yes, he responded in the same way as you were intending. Then another step, that is the third step, that is determine the content of the question. Very important that you should know that which question should be included, which question should not be included, and what kind of the content should be in the questionnaire. So when we decide upon the content of the questions, we must be very much clear about these two things, that is every question necessary, right? Of course, unnecessary questions not only increases the length of your questionnaire, but yes, it will also lead to the boredom to the respondents. So, and another thing is very important, that avoid using double barreled question. What is this? Understand, when we put the respondents in a situation, in a confusing situation, that how he respond. When we put the two attributes together in the single question. For example, you ask customer or the respondents about how you prefer, how you rate coffee for refreshment and taste. Now, when we ask this kind of question, that how you prefer or how you rate this coffee in terms of refreshment and taste, so again it is very much tough for the respondents to respond for these two attributes in a single question, because they are something different, right? Might be possible the taste is very good, it is creamy, it is very good, but might be possible it is not giving such refreshment that he is expecting for. So please don't put the two attributes in a single question, and this kind of questions we termed double barreled question, right? So we have taken this example of coffee. You can have any example where you put two variables together, two attributes together in a single question, right? Let's take another example. You ask customer how you rate your car in terms of safety and capacity. So how you can rate, right? Basically both are the different parameters. Safety is something different, capacity is something different. So how you can ask the two attributes in a single question? Of course, respondents will not give you the right answer, right? He will be confused. So please avoid double barreled questions. Now, fourth step is to take all the efforts to overcome the inability to answer. Of course, we must make all the efforts to assure that respondent give responses to the maximum of the questions, right? For that, what we can do, of course, respondents will not answer or not prefer to answer if the information is sensitive, or if he think that it is not needed to be disclosed, right? So this kind of questions, of course, there might be the chances, or of course it happens many times, that these are one of the requirement of our research. But if we start our questionnaire with this kind of response, with this kind of questions, of course respondents will not go for giving you responses for the further questions. If you start with this kind of questions, he will say, excuse me. So please don't put these kind of questions in the beginning of your questionnaire. Then you can provide with various visual aids, right? Many times it is much better to present it by the help of visual aids as asking directly with the respondents, right? What we have discussed, the various techniques in qualitative research, we can also use in this kind of questionnaire also. We can also use those techniques over here. Then another attempt that, or another effort that you can put here is to make them clear why this information is important. What will be the positive outcome? Let's say that you ask respondents about, you can say any topic you can take. Let's say you ask respondents about the women violence, right? women violence, violence on women, you ask respondents about this question. So of course respondents may not give you a response. He will say that yes, it is one of the sensitive issue and sorry, I can't say about this. But once you make them clear that yes, the result of this research will be helpful in formulating the policies which can protect women from violence, right? So of course he will respond. So one of the effort that you can put there to make them clear why the data is needed. Then what I have just discussed, that please place sensitive questions at the end of your questionnaire. And always try to ask the question using the third person technique. What I have just discussed when we were discussing about the data collection techniques in qualitative research, here also we are talking about the same thing, that you should put the questions in third person, right? So of course it will be very much easier for the respondent to respond for the third person as compared to for himself or herself, right? So of course we have already discussed this technique in detail in data collection techniques in qualitative research, but yes, it can be also used, it should consider in formulating the questionnaire also, that we can put such kind of questions in third person form. So it will be easier for the respondent to give the answer for the third person as compared to himself. Now, fifth step is choosing the structure of the questionnaire. So of course we must go for structured questionnaire when we are conducting this type of quantitative research. So of course we must have the proper structured questionnaire should be there, and use open-ended question in exploratory or qualitative research, but in quantitative research we should have the this structured questionnaire. In multiple choice question, you should include all the possible choices and they must be mutually exclusive. So when you are giving the certain limits or certain options from where the respondent has to opt for, so you must try to cover all the aspects, all the possible responses that respondents may respond, right? Then next sixth step is to decide upon the choosing the question wording. So when we design our questionnaire, we must consider these 5 W's, that is who, what, where, when and why. So when we ask the question, we should ask the question in the light of these 5 W's, who, what, where, when and why. It should be our way of writing the questions, right? So here it is who, what, where, when and why must be considered while we are designing the questionnaire, right? So this is known as 5 W's way of designing questionnaire. This is the 5 W's way, right? Then use ordinary words. Of course, we have already discussed, avoid those kind of words which are technical, right? In marketing research, if we ask consumer, does this particular brand is having the proper distribution system? Of course, might be possible that he can't respond, right? Or he respond, but he don't know the meaning of distribution. So the another option is we can ask them, is this product is easily available to you? So of course he will respond in a easily manner, right? So avoid jargons or technical words, use ordinary words. Then avoid ambiguous word. If let's take the example, we ask questions to respondent, how many times you visit departmental stores, and we give them option, never, once in a while, regular. Yes, now these are basically the ambiguous words. If he is saying regular, might be possible regular means, for him regular means once in a month may be the regular in perspective of the customers. May be possible that he consider that if I made shopping once in a month, it means that I am regularly shopping for my I make regularly shopping from the store. So it is not going to give you the clear picture. Rather than asking this kind of this one ambiguous words, you should ask how many times you visit the departmental store. You can give them 1 to 2 times a week, right? Right, more than 2 times a week, once in a month, right? Or more than once in a month. So it will give you the clear picture about the reality, right? When you are asking, are you the in this ambiguous words, never, regular, or just a minute, I am just deleting this. Just a minute. Now coming on the choosing the questions wording, so first thing is that you should always define the issues in terms of 5 W's, that is who, what, where, when and why. It must be the way of asking the question. Then use ordinary words. If you use technical words, of course, might be chances that respondents will not able to give you answer properly. For example, if I ask respondents that how you feel for the distribution of this particular product, so might be possible that he can't relate this distribution, right? Because it's a technical term. We know that distribution means that how easily this product is available to the customer, but might be possible that customer is not aware about this terminology. So we can ask them how easily this product is available to you. Then of course he can answer properly. Then avoid ambiguous words, right? We should measure the responses by avoiding these ambiguous words. For example, I asked the respondent that how many times you visit shopping mall or the shopping store. Then we can the option I ask like never, once in a while, once in a month, right, and so on. Now, and you can say regular also, regular, never, once in a month, once in a while. Now, you know, this is the customer's perception. If he is saying I am the regular customer, might be possible that he visits that particular departmental store once in a month, but he considered it as a regular purchasing, right? You will not able to get a clear picture of that. For that, it is required that you should put this in figures, right? You can ask them how many times you visit shopping malls or the shopping stores. It can be once in a week, twice in a week, right? Or more than twice in a week, or twice in a month. So it will result in giving you more accurate responses and the real picture, right? Then avoid implicit assumptions. Please ask the questions completely. You should not leave any scope of completion of the questions by himself, by the respondents, right? Then use positive and negative statements. Yes, it is very important that you should put some negative statements in your questionnaire also, because what happens when you put the questions like I am very much satisfied with product X, I am very much satisfied with the price of the product, I am very much satisfied with the branding of the product, with the promotion of the product. I am very much satisfied with the services of the product. Any question, if you put this kind of questions in your questionnaire, so what happened? Respondent responses, and many times it happened that he respond without reading each question. So let's say you ask the preference of the product in terms of pricing, in terms of services, in terms of distribution. It might be possible that he just put it on 444, right? Now this kind of if we use only same kind of statements, then it leads to the error that is known as straight line error. I will discuss in detail that how to deal with these straight line errors, but yes, here we are just discussing that you should put positive and negative statements at the same time in your questionnaire, so that customers can while responding, he can awake, he can know, yes, it is a negative statement. Yes, if I am preferring, if I am saying that price of the product is very good, and at the same time I put the question that product is somewhere expensive as compared to the substitute. So if he is saying that pricing is satisfactory, at the same time he is marking on that product is expensive, it means they are quantitative statement. He has not responded by reading each and every questions carefully. So we can know that that whether the respondents have go through each and every questions carefully or not. So I will discuss later on in detail that how to handle with this kind of straight line problems. So at this point of time, we should just consider that use positive and negative statements. So this is all about the choosing question wording. Now next step is determining the order of the question. So when we talk about determining the order of the question, the approach should be funnel approach. That means that we should start with the general questions, and we should then come to the specific questions, right? We should always start our questionnaire with the general questions, which can increase the interest of the respondents about filling up the question, which can motivate the respondents to fill up the question. Then we can by and by we can come towards the specific purpose or the specific questions that is required for our research. So generally question should precede the specific question, and question should be asked in the logical order. And very much important, the sensitive question should be asked in between or at the end, right? But please don't put in the starting. Then next step that is very much important, that is form and layout. So questions should be divided into the proper sections when we are having the large questionnaire. So it is very important that you should bifurcate the question in the various sections, so the respondent can easily go through that questions and he can easily answers. So you should take care of the font size, you should take care of the formatting of the questionnaire, right? And you should try to make pre-coding of your questionnaire. For example, you ask the questionnaire gender of the respondents, and you put 1 as a male and 2 as a female. So it will be very much easier for you to to enter your responses in Excel or the Spaces or any software if you make this kind of pre-coding. So you can put 1 for the male and put 2 for the female. So this kind of the approach is very good. I'm just taking the example of gender. You can you can pre-code every responses in advance, so that there will be no confusion. If the respondent puts the responses on first, so it means you have to enter 1. If he is responding second, you enter second, or third, or you try to enter third in your Excel sheet or software. So it requires a coding. So I will discuss in the next lecture series in the next upcoming topic. Then when we discuss about data processing, I will discuss this concept of coding and editing of the data. But yes, at this point of time, always try to pre-code your questions, right? Pre-coding means that you put some code for each and every responses of the respondents. Then questions should be numbered in serial, right? You should number those questions in a serial. So what I was discussing, that you should divide into proper section means many times what happens, the respondents are not interested to give the responses for the certain phenomena. So if you put that particular certain phenomena in the particular section, he can left that particular section, he can move on to the next section, and after that at last if you think yes I can respond, then he come back to that particular section. Then next step is to reproduce the questionnaire. Now finally you are in the position to reproducing your questionnaire. It should have the professional look. Booklet format should be used for the large questions, and instructions should be very much clear, should be given very much clear at the beginning of each questions, right? For example, you must clear your scale, right? For example, you taking the responses on the Likert scale, so you must clearly define that 1 means what and 2 means what, or if you are taking on the Likert scale, so 1 means strongly disagree and 5 means strongly agree. You must define each and every instructions in detail just before the questions. Then pre-testing is very much important. Why? Because it will be not feasible when if your questionnaire failed to collect the required information, and at the end of the research you come to know. So it is very much tough for the respondents. Now coming on the pre-testing. So when we talk about pre-testing, so you must consider the pre-testing of the questionnaire by the help of the pilot survey. Before executing the final questionnaire, you must go through the pre-testing of your questionnaire for testing about the question content, for testing about the wording, for testing about the forms and layout of your questionnaire, and the difficulty instruction should be tested. So what is the difficulty level, what the respondent feel like while filling up the questions. And of course I will say that you should go for pilot survey by personal interviews, face to face. You should make the pilot surveys face to face with the respondent, so that you can know about his attitude, about his behavior by filling up the question, so that you can make the changes in your questionnaire accordingly. So after making the changes, you remove that bugs from your questionnaire, and finally you execute your questionnaire for the research. So this is all about the various steps involved in developing the questionnaire. Now these are some of the characteristics of the good questionnaire. You should keep in mind that it should be concerned with a specific relevant topic. It should be short. Try to make the questionnaire short. The action wording should be simple. Questions should be objective. Early questions should be simple in design and should be friendly and easy to respond. Questionnaire should begin with an effort to awaken the respondent's interest. What I was continuously saying, that it should uplift the interest of the respondents. Otherwise, he is not going to fill up your questionnaire properly. Then important target questions should be asked in the middle of the opinion survey. Whatever is the target question, it must be asked somewhere in the middle. Right, if you put in the end, might be possible that he left the question in between. But if you put it in the middle, then of course there will be more chances that he will respond those questions at least. Then embarrassing question, presuming question, hypothetical question should be avoided. It should be attractive and neatly printed, should be clearly arranged, and open-ended questions should be asked at the end. So this is all about the questionnaire. Now coming on the next very important aspect, that reliability of the question. I will discuss these aspects and the testing procedure in detail in upcoming lecture, that how we check the reliability, how we check the validity of our questionnaire using SPSS, using MATLAB or using R. But here I am just discussing that what is reliability. So reliability means that the consistency of the measurement of your questionnaire. Your question must be reliable, means that it should yield a similar result each time it is taken. So normally what parameter that we use for testing the reliability, we use Cronbach alpha in SPSS. So I will discuss all these testing procedures in detail in upcoming lecture series. Now, these are the factors that affect reliability of a questionnaire, that how many numbers of items you put in your questions, variability of the questions, and condition in which the questionnaire is administered. The another is validity. Validity means, does it measures that phenomena that it intends to measure, right? You can't measure blood pressure on temperature scale, right? That is what validity. Thermometer is not valid for measuring the blood pressure. So it means, validity means, here we talk about constraint validity, it means whether it measures the theoretical constraint it is designed to measure or not. So again, for testing validity we are having the various tools, and I will discuss the validity testing in upcoming lectures. So this is all about questionnaire development, and in next lecture we will discuss about data processing. So thank you student, please like, share and subscribe my channel. Thank you. Have a great day ahead.